Welcome to We Are Soccer. Today, I'm joined by Joel Nash, the Senior Vice President at United Soccer League, specifically focusing on youth and pre-professional. Joel, welcome to We Are Soccer.
Craig, thank you so much for having me. First time on this, so I'm appreciative of the time today.
Oh man, listen, we appreciate you taking the time and know how busy you are and know how important you are. Listen, there's a lot going on. You've got seasons kicking off right now. We've played a couple of games, but the majority of those games are kicking off this upcoming weekend. We're specifically talking about USL2 and USLW. Now, I've done a little reading, and I can't believe that USL2 has been around for 28 years. You're kicking off the 29th year. That is incredible to me. The history and the clubs, you've got to be excited as this league just continues to grow.
Yeah, look, I think we'll have 128 teams competing this year just in League Two, 80 for the third season of the W League, which I'm sure we can get into it and an excitement on that front. I think the longevity is something most importantly. It shows the strength of our clubs and those individuals and communities across the whole country that whether we've got clubs even, in Michigan that have been around for multiple decades and have been founding members of League Two as it currently is, of course, previously PDL. So I think it's just a testament to those individuals that have seen the need to grow the game at this level for that elite collegiate player or elite youth player or former pro coming back into the amateur world of the game. We'll have between League Two and W, we'll have over 1,200 matches in the next 90 days. So a lot of soccer for a lot of people to enjoy this summer. And yeah, League Two I think is something special that we certainly enjoy celebrating.
League Two for me is something that I wish was around the way it is now when I came out of college or was in college. Is something I really would have dove into, but unfortunately it wasn't quite where it is now back when I came out. But it's incredible to see some of the teams that have popped up right here in Michigan are incredible. And as you mentioned, we have the Flint City Bucks, who I went through some preseason rankings. They're ranked third in USL2 right now as a preseason ranking. They are one of those clubs that's just been around forever. They are a powerhouse in the Midwest and in USL2. And they play right up the road here in Flint. So I'm going to get out to those games. We actually just interviewed Paul Doro, the head coach, a couple of days ago. That interview was released this week. I can't wait. That club has to be one of the most fun clubs to keep an eye on for you guys as well.
Yeah, I think the uniqueness, they were the Mid-Michigan Bucks, and I'd encourage anybody to go look at the old branding and things where it just shows the story of this sport. And then they became the Michigan Bucks, playing out of Pontiac, and a good friend of mine and obviously a colleague at the leadership level. Obviously, Dan Duggan is the founder of the club, but Costa Pepista really helped. And I worked with him. I had the honor to work with him for a year, eventually moving the Bucks to Flint. And I think, that microcosm, and we could go through just within Michigan, I think it's a wonderful picture of what we are so excited about where the sport's going, where you've got Ann Arbor, you've got Oakland County, you've now got Macomb County with Union Macomb, you've got Flint and Midwest United and Grand Rapids. Obviously, I'm forgetting people in Lansing, et cetera. So I think small communities that, or not even small, obviously, plenty of these cities have more than enough potential fans. It's just exciting for people to have soccer right in their own backyard and at a level that, they might see future World Cup stars, certainly future professional stars on the pitch this summer.
Yeah. All right. So I got a question. I'm gonna ask a little later. It's gonna be about the 2026 event happening here, the World Cup. But I was talking to Paul Dora the other day in the interview, and I think he's had recently 5 players out of his team drafted to the MLS Super Draft. The amount of players that can come out of this league and really get to that MLS or that European league or that Mexican Liga MX, it's incredible. This is a platform the players can come in, show their stuff, and get to that next level. Is that how you're building it, as the platform for players to come in and show their wares and their skills to get to that next level?
Yeah, Craig, I think it's, that's at the heart of anybody that's either running a club, building a club, coaches that are in it day to day, or recruiting talent. And then from a league level, we typically, or we always try and highlight, we're a platform And we need to make sure that platform is both accessible, but also moving at a level that grows the sport and can still be attainable by clubs. But the clubs get the credit. But in the end, it is about the athletes, right? They're either providing the entertainment for the young boys and girls wanting to watch the sport, or the young professionals wanting to have that tribal fandom. That those athletes are there. And again, back to the caliber that we set as a platform, but the clubs themselves. I think an incredible story. Nathan Opoku, who was our 2022 MVP of the League Two final, played for Ventura County Fusion, and he was a NAI athlete. And then went to a couple D1 schools, played for Ventura County, scored in the final. There's an incredible goal. He flicked it up, did his own bicycle kick to tie the game late. And then he got signed by Leicester City later that January transfer window, after going and winning a national championship with Syracuse. So the journeys that, and we're not saying, the beauty is that these athletes are going to have plenty of other areas to develop. That might be in college, that might even be on trials with pro teams. But we know that at least within League Two, what we can control is a platform to move these players on to professional ranks, whether that be what we love to celebrate as in League One or Championship. We'll have over 350 competing across Championship and League One that are League Two alumni just in 23. But then you get the unique stories of a Nathan Opoku who gets signed by, obviously at the time was a Premier League club and then Championship, and they obviously got promoted. So we're just honestly, we're stoked for those athletes to be able to have that happen.
I am too, and I'm stoked for you guys and this league and the platform that allows players to grow. Let's talk about the USLW, the women's league, starting up its third season here. As you said, 80 teams now in the league, and they're gearing up for the biggest season ever. You've got to be excited about that. I have been a proponent of women's soccer and trying to push it forward for the last several years. It's so enjoyable to see the women's side of the game growing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Craig, obviously we've got the Super League kicking off, that we're all excited about as a company. And I'll touch on that through the lens of W, where, we just talked about these pathways and for League Two to be a platform to launch players' careers. That is still absolutely at the core of the W League. I think to brag as all American soccer fans, women's national team fans, we know the talent that exists in this country on the women's side. And that was ultimately the birthplace of why we wanted to start the W League, is understanding, learning lessons on the men's side, but also understanding that the women's game has its own journey and its own unique opportunities and skill sets and excitement. So they are completely different and yet similar. And for the W League, where it is similar, is we want to push these players, whether that be to European soccer or in WSL. But obviously, with the Super League launching in August, the W League is here to help give players that platform to understand, which they haven't had in the past, understand that they have a professional career as an opportunity. So extending those opportunities in the women's space is something that at its core mission is what we're excited to keep doing for the W League.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I love the fact that more teams are buying in every season. There's just more and more. And as you said, the third season kicking off here. I've been part of youth teams as a parent here. My son plays, and all the parents always say, "Oh, let's go to this team and take the boys to watch this pro team play." And on the girls' side, that's never really happened, but now it's about to happen. It is happening, and I can't wait for some of the parents to go, "Hey, there's a local USLW team down the road, and they're awesome to watch. Let's go watch them. Let's take the girls," because I know that my daughter has been out to watch the men, and she enjoys it. But the instant she sees those women playing, it's really just going to spark it in her, and she's going to go, "Wow, there is a pathway for me." So phenomenal. I love the fact that you guys have done this and it's growing. I do want to ask a little bit of a tough question. As we said, there's 128 men's teams and 80 women's teams. Is there a point where you go, all right, we need to cap it or anything like that? Because does it get a little watered down? Have you guys had any discussions on that? And I honestly don't know if it's going to get watered down, but I love the fact that there's so many opportunities out there. So it is a strange question and the way I phrased it.
Craig, though, I think it's not only a fair question, but a great one, and one that we ask ourselves. We didn't, we had objectives and goals, and we set out to build the W League. It went from 44 to 65 to 80, first, second, and now third year. some of the ways, and again, it's a bit complex, but perhaps this peels back the curtains and how the league thinks about, where it can grow the league. Where I'll go with this. One of my favorite lines that my favorite coach told me as a player was, play as fast as you can, but as slow as you need to. Right. Where there's that natural yin and yang of, we do want to grow. And how we grow is if people are interested, whether they're markets we identify or regions of the country, as we continue to bring about new divisions in Texas and Colorado this year will come online for the first time. Why would we not grow in Southern California where we don't have a presence, or grow in New England where we don't have a presence? So the desire by people in the US that want to grow is a first marker for us to want to grow. We then also are very key and focused on our standards. So we want people to build sustainable clubs. And so making sure that if there's a desire and they meet and we can support them in meeting those standards, we typically want to grow there. Obviously, we also want to build divisions with low travel so that there's rivalries, and so those young kids can actually touch and feel and have access to role models that they want to, emulate as they grow up. So when we think about that, and then you also think about the growth of the women's game on the professional front, in the end, that fuels more players to say, not only do I have a dream, but it could be accessible if I continue to be good enough. So there's that interlink between all that we're trying to do within our ecosystem that still gives us a lot of confidence we'll continue to be able to grow the league.
I absolutely love that answer, by the way. I love it. All right. Within that answer, you can clearly tell you're a former player. You've got eyes on not only the business aspect of it, but how to grow it from a soccer standpoint, from the player standpoint. You and I were chatting a couple minutes for a little bit before we started this interview. I would love for the audience to hear your path to how you got to where you're at, and your experience within the game, because as I said, it's clear to see that you've played and you understand from a player's mindset and from a club's mindset.
Yeah, don't love talking about my own story, but I think it definitely fuels what we get to do every day. And even particularly in focusing on the youth and ultimately pre-professional. And for those who might need to understand what we mean by pre-professional, we want professional in there because that's the dreams and the aspiration, and in some ways the caliber that we strive to produce. But these are amateur athletes, and I think that journey within American soccer is one that collectively, anybody involved in the sport, we all should feel accountable for how we help a 9-year-old or whatever a kid might first get into the game. And so for my own story, first in my family to play this beautiful game from Southern Alabama, was blessed enough to be good and be able to move away from home and play at different full-time academies and in the under 17 national residency program, and then moved on to play college soccer at University of Evansville in Indiana. And so my journey of even moving away from home, because at that time I didn't feel like there was a platform that fit the desire and the skill that I was looking to achieve. And so being sort of a nomad, so to speak, exploring these opportunities away from home, as much as I cherished them and they developed the passion and some of the desire that I have, it also highlighted that I would have loved to have stayed in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm originally from, and played for Birmingham Legion and USL Championship, or maybe play for their academy or now League Two team that they have, and allow that journey to stay home where I felt passionate for. So that's that fuel that it gives us and gives myself a personal perspective on what we do every day.
No, that's incredible. And I will say, you must have been more than good if you were taken to academies and then you went and played D1, my friend. Trust me, you must have been a good player.
I love this sport, so I'm glad I could kick the ball pretty good.
You can tell that you love this sport. You can tell through the way you answer these questions and the passion you have. You can absolutely tell. And that's who we want running these leagues. We want people who've played before, and it's not just a business, it's the love of the game and love of the sport and pushing it forward. Now, with all that being said, 2026 is going to be here before we know it. The biggest event in the world is coming here to America, North America. Have you had discussions about how to prepare for that? Because your leagues run in the summer. The World Cup is in the summer. There might be a little bit of an overlap, but also a benefit to it coming here and spreading and more people learning about the sport and getting into the sport and the passion of it. Have you guys had those discussions about 2026 and the World Cup coming to North America?
Yeah, Craig, it's a obviously again, I don't think it still has hit any of us probably as much as it'll continue to progress. That I'm in my early 30s, so I don't have any specific memories of '94. I came on this earth in '92, so that'll share some insight. I think the the balance between obviously being prudent as an organization to help our clubs operate, and more importantly, take the incredible excitement that'll happen not just for the couple months that the event is going on, but training camps, countries having their own training camps across the country. I think the desire for not just the avid soccer fan, but as we all know, the millions that will maybe be first introduced or go from their introductory to, wow, this is something different that I don't get to experience with other sports. We want to capitalize on that. And obviously, capitalize can be a bit of a blunt term, but we want our clubs in all of these communities to be, again, their own platform that people can celebrate their desire to learn more, to experience the sport more, while naturally making sure that we're prudent and saying, all right, from scheduling to some parts of the country, we might have to think creatively around the summer of 26, but I'd be confident that with the amount of enthusiasm that's going to be around the sport across the whole country, if anything, we want to make sure we're setting our clubs up to, to again, benefit in the
Yep.
sense of have more eyes and ears and attention, and make sure that they're set up to have programming if they're a youth club, have obviously the right marketing out to the community to say, if you get to a World Cup stadium to watch a game, great, but we want you to know that there's access to local high level soccer in our own community that you can celebrate year in, year out.
Joel, you guys have definitely thought ahead. You're definitely thinking, you're definitely pushing the sport, but I love the fact that you're pushing the clubs, the players and the clubs and the sport forward. Listen, it has been an absolute joy to talk to you. I think we could talk all day long. You can see the passion for the sport and the league oozing out of you, and it's phenomenal. We're going to have to do a check-in. I'd love to check in the middle of the summer or towards the end of the season to talk about how it's going. But I do want to tell you, like, hey, I'm seeing the local clubs popping up around my area. As you mentioned, there's Oakland, there's Lansing, there's Detroit for the women's side. The communities are coming together, and that's what it's all about. It's communities and people coming together. They can go to that local pub or that local bar and restaurant, meet before the game, meet after the game. There's food trucks at games. It's an event, but it's an event that will cost families a couple of dollars and not hundreds of dollars. I don't want to pay to go watch a baseball game that's going to cost me $400 to park for tickets and a hot dog when I can go and pay less than $50 to watch a phenomenal soccer game that's got players who are going to go play in the Premiership or in the MLS or in Liga MX. So the product you guys are putting on the field is it's some of the best and the cheapest around.
Yeah, well, Craig, obviously, thanks so much for having me. I would love to check in. I think to give a soundbite, it would be get out there and support your team. You might, next thing you know, you might be so in love with it, you're wanting to volunteer and do something to grow what they're doing. I know our clubs are welcoming of not only fans, but people who really want to get involved. And I think that's partly what makes soccer so unique as a sport. It is so communal, and people can understand that they're not just a fan, but they are a fabric to what the club is. So ultimately, the platform that you guys at We Are Soccer is something special. We're excited by it. You're celebrating the global game, but here on our own doorstep. And we love being able to work together on that stuff.
Thank you for joining We Are Soccer, Joel. I look forward to checking in, and good luck as the season kicks off here, my friend.
Craig, thank you so much.